Hey everyone, this is Movie Maniac. Thank you for watching and hello to new returning subscribers. We're in the month of October, baby, so you see we've got the spooky DVD shelves. They're ready to go. I've got a stack here of recent horror Blu-ray pickups, mainly from the past month and a half or so. Half of them I've watched, the other half I haven't gotten around to yet. So the ones that I've watched, I'm gonna share my view, give you my analysis on the picture quality, if it's worth purchasing, and then the other ones I will go ahead and just discuss those movies, and maybe you can tell me, have you watched the ones I haven't opened yet? What should I expect? So let's go ahead and get this started. I've got them just off camera here. First up is going to be the new release from Paramount Pictures, who did not put this thing out originally, Scream. This is a new scan. It blows the old Blu-ray out of the water, the one from way back in the day that everybody criticized for having too much edge enhancement and just looking like somebody went up to your TV and turned sharpness all the way up and you're like, ugh, what is going on? This gets rid of that. This is probably as close to that 35mm print as we're ever going to see. Now, this is also what's on the new 4K. This is the Blu-ray. It is advertised nowhere on here that this is the new scan, but trust me, it is. As a matter of fact, when you originally take the sleeve off and you're about to pop this movie in, on the surrounding packaging, which I've taken off because I've watched it, it actually has a sticker that tells you it's the new master of the movie. I don't know why they didn't put that on the back. I think that's a terrible mistake for those of us fans of picking up, new movies that have new scans on them, because that's what we're looking for. And if you don't advertise that right on the front of the frickin' Blu-ray or on the back, we're probably going to give it a pass because we don't want the old one. This is new. If you don't have it, pick it up. Even if you're like a moderate Scream fan, this is going to service you well. All right, next up, we've got the disc rattles in this thing, I don't know why. Trimmers from Arrow. The colors are accurate. Everything about it looks great. It's got a filmic quality to it. So just to give you an idea, it's a new 4K restoration. It's been approved not only by the director, but the director of photography. So you've got two of the main guys who would know better than anyone else about how this is supposed to look and the proper quality of this film and the image. They backed this thing up. So pick this up if you haven't already. I remember that I had the original HD DVD for Trimmers back from like 2007. I owned an HD DVD. That was back during the console wars. Obviously, Blu-ray won that one. And you know what? At the time, I thought that looked amazing. Since then, there's been a ton of criticism about the Blu-ray for Trimmers, it being oversaturated. The saturation is just cranked up way too high. Edge enhancement, kind of like Scream, is just over the top. So Arrow and what they did here was incredible. If you haven't picked up Trimmers, this is the definitive must-own version. Pick this one up, even if you see the old Blu-ray on sale for cheap. Now, maybe you like the way the old Blu-ray looks. I mean, it's different strokes for different folks, okay? Maybe you like that really hardcore artificial edge enhancement. I mean, most people don't, but maybe you do. Maybe you like that color, the sand almost looking orange, and if that's it, then fine, by all means. This looks natural. If you want that natural quality, I can't stress it enough. Pick up the Arrow Blu-ray. Next is going to be Warner Brothers recently did The Lost Boys again. I think this looks good. I think it's probably going to look best on 4K. Now, that's not always the case. There are certain movies that you can pick up that include the new scan. So by the way, this Blu-ray, this is the 4K. It comes with the Blu-ray. The new scan is on the Blu-ray. So I have a 4K upscaling Blu-ray and a 4K TV. A lot of people do have that setup, so if you're like me and you have that, you can pick this up and watch the new scan, and that's usually the way to do it. I will say that oftentimes when I do that with films, they look almost identical to the 4K, and I know a lot of people are gonna get up in arms when I say that. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but I'm saying that it's close. That means there's been scans. That means there's been new scans for films that have come out where I popped it in and I've seen versions of it, either streaming or re-uploaded, where I see how the 4K looks, and I know it'll never be the same as watching it on physical media, of course, and I watch my version upscale with the new scan, and I think, wow, that looks pretty much identical or as close as you can possibly get. I do think this looks good. However, people who've watched it on the actual 4K disc absolutely rave about it. I do think it looks good. I do think that if you pop in the Blu-ray of the new scan, you upscale it, it's gonna look good, and it'll look, by most people's standards, better than the previous Blu-ray. Why, you might ask? Because there are literally scenes where the colors are way off on the old Blu-ray. Probably goes for the old DVD as well. I would imagine they're from the same scan, but with this new one, Corey Haim is in the comic shop, for instance, and I think it had like an orange or a red glow on previous releases. That's completely gone. I don't even know how that got there. And this looks, again, more filmic, more natural. So if you're a big fan of The Lost Boys, I can definitely see why you'd want to upgrade it. But again, this has blown many people out of the water. Maybe my expectations were just too high when I popped this one in. I thought it looked good, but I wasn't quite as blown away as I was with Tremors. So, moving along, here's one that I have seen a couple screen caps from, and that's Halloween 4. It's still sealed. This one's from Scream Factory. This is a new 4K scan of the original camera negative. I've taken a look at the screen caps from bluray.com. It looks beautiful. I can't wait to watch this. This is clearly the best that Halloween 4 has ever looked. I have the VHS, I have the DVD. I've never owned any of the previous Blu-ray releases, but apparently this is the definitive edition of Halloween 4, which in my opinion is the best sequel. To be fair, I can kind of maybe change my mind on things like that. I love Halloween 2, I love the David Gordon Green trilogy, but there is something about Halloween 4 that I'm just telling you, it is a near perfect requel. I mean, this is one of the early requels. Basically, it's rebooting the franchise. It came out right after Halloween 3 that didn't have Michael Myers, so this film is sort of reestablishing the franchise. It's bringing Myers back into it, and it's just going back to Haddonfield. It's kind of a soft reboot of the first movie, but it's a sequel. So Halloween 4 is awesome. It's got everything in there that I'd want from a Halloween movie, and I can't wait to watch this. Now, moving along, here's a film I haven't seen since I was working at College Park Video, and it's been a long time. I remember thinking this film was awesome. I read some reviews about the Synapse release from, I think this was almost 10 years ago, and that's going to be Demons. You know, anything that's like a Dario Argento production, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And it's, let me see here. This is how they describe it, okay? This is from a while back. High definition 1080p transfer from the original vault materials. I think that's just a fancy way of saying this is a new scan. And I've seen some screen caps for this one as well. I thought it looked incredible. I think it was in the early to mid 2010s we started seeing Blu-rays really show their potential for how beautiful they could look. And then upscaling to 4K, it just looks phenomenal. I think this one is going to knock it out of the park. Not only am I excited to revisit a movie that I really liked and haven't seen in ages, but just the idea that it's going to look fantastic, I'm there. Now, next up is a movie I haven't seen since college, and this is right up my alley. This is The Dark Side of the Moon. If you haven't seen it, it's an old school sci-fi horror B-movie. I'm not even sure this went to theaters. You guys can let me know in the comments if it did. I didn't get the impression that it did, but this is newly restored 4K transfer. I didn't even know that when ordering this film. I was just so excited to get my hands on the physical media for this. Yeah, it's been streaming before. That's how I originally watched it back when I was in college. But to own this, I'm just stoked. I can't wait to put it up on the shelf here. And this is sort of the pre-Event Horizon. If you're a fan of Event Horizon, watch this movie. If you're a fan of those sci-fi horror movies from Roger Corman from back in the 80s, I would recommend doing a blind purchase of this. That's how confident I am that you're going to fall in love with this film if you like those movies. I won't steer you wrong, guys. I'm telling you, if you like that kind of stuff, watch The Dark Side of the Moon. Oh, and I'm so happy that it's a new scan. Honestly, that was just a pleasant surprise. I didn't know that until it came in the mail. So I'm really happy about that. Now, the last one on the list, I know this is a horror movie sin. I know it is. I'm about to tell you that I've never seen this film. I don't know how I haven't. This is supposed to be like one of the best camp slashers ever made, The Burning. I saw this one on sale, actually. This is from Scream Factory. It doesn't say anything about a new scan on the back, but from what I understand, it does look good. And as you can see, it has that custom artwork, and I'm pretty sure it's a reversible sleeve. Most Scream Factory stuff is. I haven't opened it up yet, but I'm really excited to watch this. It's got George from Seinfeld in it. It's got George from Seinfeld in it. I mean, what more do you need? And it's a camp slasher. You know, it's from 1981, and many of you who are big slasher fans, you know the early 80s, like 1981 in those years, the early part of the 80s, the whole 80s for that matter, but especially the early part, there are so many awesome slasher flicks. Just from that brief moment in time, and this is one of them from what everybody says, and I can't wait to watch this. This is going to be so much fun, and I think that the custom art is great. I might flip it. I'll do that for movies that I either don't own on VHS, I never own the DVD, so I don't have the original cover art, and I want to be reminded of seeing it in the video store from when I was a kid and into adulthood. There's something special about that, and so if this has the original art, as much as I love what's going on here, I might reverse it. So that's it, guys. We got those 7 movies as my recent horror pickups from about the past month and a half or so, and I can't wait to watch the ones I haven't seen yet. Are there any of these that I haven't opened that you would say, like, you gotta watch this one first, Maniac? This is the one to pop in. Do you think that The Lost Boys looks better than I'm making it out to be? Because I think it looks good, but I read stuff that was just like, this is the best looking thing we've ever seen on planet Earth. My expectations were really high for it, and I think maybe I thought, oh yeah, it looks good, but I didn't think it was the best transfer I've ever seen in my life. Just looking at these and talking about them with you guys has been fun. I can't wait to watch Demons. I can't wait to watch Dark Side of the Moon, The Burning. We already discussed how stoked I am to watch Halloween 4. So with all that being said, most of you already know the drill, but for those who don't, make sure to smash that notification bell. Like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay inside the mind of a movie maniac.